Welcome to the Wodesman podcast, a show discussing all things camping, bushcraft, and outdoor adventure.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wodesman podcast. I'm here with Liam, Primal Nomad, and a special guest, David Friars, and we are here in Friars Wood.
Friars Woods.
Yeah, very exciting.
Absolutely, beautiful location. Where are we, Liam? What are we sitting under?
So we're under a really amazing kind of shelter, kind of lean-to awning. It's really vast. There's a big parachute shelter next to us to my left. And yeah, just really, really awesome. Sat next to a big fire pit with this really awesome kind of forged metalwork kind of frame over the top. You've got a TJM fire anchor that's absolutely massive there. It's just, yeah, really nice setting, burning some ash.
Proper cooking
good,
setup there.
You made that sound so good, I want to be there.
What lucky you are!
Thanks to
you just teleported here. I know David kindly invited us here to the woods, and yeah, has, even kinder has lit the fire for us, split all the wood, done all the hard work.
Yeah, proper invitation to the woods, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been a brilliant host, and yeah, we thought it was a brilliant opportunity to get Dave on. He's really a good maker on Etsy, who makes some fantastic sort of handmade organisational pouches and modular systems.
Yeah, they're excellent.
And we just thought it's a great fit for the podcast to talk about sort of Dave's process when he comes to designing these products, but also we've had a lot of our listeners write in and say that their goal for the year is to get more organised with their kit. Yeah. So we thought maybe you'd have some gems of info that we can pass on.
Organisation is something that I'm obsessed about when it comes to my kit, and with the modular system, that's what you create. You've got this organisation which is easy to stack and easy to grab whatever you want to get. And I've designed it and I've been using it and I love using it, and everyone who I know who's bought it, and the reviews I get and the comments I get back from it is that it works really well, and I'm really chuffed with it. It's still at its early stages. I've sort of really been doing it for about a year and a half now, but it's building up, and it's like when you guys saw the bits you wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like it's
really,
and it's great to get that feedback. It's because it's sort of it makes me feel that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, me and Tom are both big advocates of good quality kit, and also, supporting people on our home turf, English makers as well. There's as an English podcast, it's obviously something we're passionate about, and all too often it's easy to kind of look further afield for little bits of kit. You can say, I'll just go for the well-known, easy, big brand little pouch or something, and you can actually say, there's a much better alternative, more thought out, higher quality right on our doorstep. And that's what part of the Wodesman is all about, is sharing those little
highlights, makers
and tips and tricks as well of the industry, and just sharing that with the listeners.
So the reason it came about is because of I couldn't find a system that works for me. Most say dry bags all round and circular, and when you try and stack them in there, you've got all these little gaps everywhere. And so I thought you've got wasted space, and then trying to pull one thing out and everything slops underneath one under the other, and that's how the modular system come about, because I just wanted it a bit more organised, and that's the way I think if there's a need for something, it's easy to try and create, because you know what you're looking for. It's just getting it right. And they're not trying to, they're not. I've done what you've done. You bought like pouches, and they've got all these bits and pieces and buckles and stuff like that on them, and they're taking up weight and they're taking up space, and you can't just slip them in and out your rucksack. Where the modular system is designed to be like no nonsense, light as possible, strong materials, and just you don't want to put another kilo of weight on in your rucksack anyway. You know what I mean? So that's how it sort of come about, and Yeah, over time I've used it where I might have used an 80-litre rucksack. I've gone down now to a 60-litre rucksack.
Yeah.
Because I'm just maximising the space.
Yeah.
And organising it in a better way.
And also, I guess by being more organised, you're minimising duplication, because I know there's so many times where I'm out and I'm like, I've got this pouch and it's got 3 fire steels in it. I've got another pouch there that's got my carving kit. Oh, and 2 more fire steels, and I've got my belt pouch with a fire steel in it. Oh, what's this in my pocket? Oh, it's a fire steel. It's like, I've got more ferrocerium than a ferrocerium factory. So I guess by having things organised, you're cutting down, aren't you?
If you dedicate you've got your fire kit and everything's in there, that's it. Then this other pouch may be your toiletry kit, as I say. Then you might have a possibles kit, where you've got to have but they're dedicated and they stay there, and that's what their job is. And you don't need to muck around and change it. Yeah. Because it's always there, and if something comes out of it, whatever you lose something, or you just need to replace it. Your fire kit, you just replace that one item and not going around.
Yeah. Definitely.
Replacing other kits that you may have.
Yeah, that's it. So just for listeners that have not seen your work or seen a modular system in practice, just taking it right back to real basics, what would you say, how would you describe the modular system? How does it work?
Basically, it's a layering system. So if you think of, it's all depending on what type of camp you're doing. If you're walking and you're doing like a 10-15 miles walk, your setup will be different if you're going for a base camp setup. So as I say, on a base camp setup, at the bottom you'd have your sleeping bag. And then from then you'd have that, whatever you want, a dry bag. I normally have it in a dry bag, but don't really compress it. I want to try and fill out the bottom of that bag.
Yes.
So it maximises space. Yeah, that's the platform. From then you go with, I would always go with like your sort of spare clothes, maybe thermals, socks, pants, and that sort of thing. So that would be one of the larger box pouches. There may be, another large box pouch. If depending on winter time, you might want to put a fleece layer or something else in there. Yeah. Maybe a couple of long pouches, and they're all stacking on top of each other. Yeah. Or you might have your hat, gloves, and bits and pieces. You know what I mean? And another one, but they all work in pairs.
You haven't got those gaps down the edges.
No. So they sit on top of each other. They work in pairs. And then from then you might go to a couple of medium box pouches where you have a possibles kit, maybe a food bag and stuff like that. And then you build it up to smaller, so you've got smaller items on the top there, all smaller things. And that's the way it works. You do have space either. So you've got, like down the front, you may have as a shape of a rucksack. I normally put like a frying pan down there, or a plate or something like that. But it's a bit of a layering system. They work best in pairs, and that sort of maximises it. I do 2 different colours. Some people put a little paracord, different coloured toggles on them. Nice. Or I say I normally have a brown and a green, so I know the difference. Yes. But it's quite easy. It's not as long as you ain't got like 5 or 6 of the same, you're all right.
No, absolutely. So it's just about separating your kit into different layers and putting them in your pouches and breaking down your kit into sort of manageable sections that then can fill up your pack.
And then you've obviously got the normal stuff like your billy cam pouches. Obviously they are round. You can't get away from that. Of course, what I mean? But and it's like the water bottle pouches. The mesh ones. If you got, they're going to get sooted up. If you have a cup and a water bottle nested together, they're all stuff that you use on the fire. They're going to get sooted. You don't want that in your bag, do you? Exactly. And it's easier to pick it up and put it in a bag and roll it. Then it's all clean as well. And
that was another thing I was going to say that I love about the modular system, is that it keeps everything not only protected, but it keeps everything else protected. So if you are putting a dirty pan, even if you've cleaned it, there's still going to be a slight deposit of soot on there. There always is. And so it's another barrier of protection for your gear, which is making it last longer. It's simple to find, and
and the quality, the material I use, like a nylon, like 1000 Decador material. It's not polyester. Most pouches are polyester. Polyester is good stuff. There's nothing wrong with it for its purpose. When you want strength, like nylon is double the strength, or even stronger. It's half the weight. It's a lot lighter, and as you feel, there's no bits and pieces on it. They don't weigh anything.
No, amazingly light for the strength, because you can feel there's no give in the material. It's just solid quality. And yet it really looks like it's going to be heavy like canvas, but yet it isn't.
No. That's the beauty of it, because you want it. As I said, you don't want this heaviness. You don't want a 2.5 kilo rucksack with another kilo of pouches in it. You know what I mean? So it's all depending. People, like when people buy it, they generally like buy one or two, and then do what you see. You think, well, that's nice, isn't it? Then literally like a week or so later, then people will then buy 4 or 5 of them. You know what I mean? And I'll have people coming back each month, you know, when they get paid, and they'll have 2 patches building up the system. And you know, it's nice, and you can always, you know, you sort of recognise people after a while, you know what I mean, what they're coming back for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, was there anything in particular, apart from that initial kind of thought of, you know, I want to maximise efficiency of space in the backpack and have a bit more organisation, was there any other motives that kind of started you off into that? And just quickly talking about starting off, should we quickly start off?
Let's quickly crack it, because we're all going to get thirsty holding our...
Absolutely. What have you got there, Dave?
Alcohol free.
Nice.
Sam Miguel.
Brilliant.
Nice. We've got
what is it, Tom? What did you get us? A
Goose Island
IPA. So
6%.
Let's go.
Cheers, fellas.
So yeah, was there anything else?
Basically, ever since I've been doing, I'm not, you know, the outdoor stuff. I've always modded and made pouches for something I may need. It might be a billy can, it might be a pouch for, say, a brew kit or whatever. So I always wanted, you know, it was something I always did, and just that sort of thought of it really sort of brought it. Is the combination of, I've done it in the past, I've made a few bits and pieces, but how can I, you know,
incorporate it,
and make it into a bigger system?
Nice.
And that is the only real reason. That it was, you know, it was funny. At the time, I didn't have a job, and I just sort of left the job, and it was like, what can I do? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So while I was looking for a job, that's when I started making I thought, well, let's make some patches. I made a load of haversacks first. Realised that I think I made about 50 haversacks, and realised that I wasn't going to make any money on them for my time and effort.
Yeah,
and materials involved.
Yeah, they've got to be feasible.
So that's when the sort of the first thing you go to is like frying pans, billy cans and stuff like that, and small pouches, and then the system just grown from there. And it was, I think actually the first rucksack I sort of designed it for was the Fairhaven Stubborn pack.
Yeah, brilliant pack.
Because it's like a square pack.
It's got the seat as well.
Isn't it?
I'm always jealous. I saw you with that.
I've got one.
Yeah,
really.
brilliant.
You sat on your rucksack.
Yeah, I sat on it, and Liam thought I was going to like squish the whole thing, and I was like, nope, it's got a frame in it.
I was so impressed. JJ Outdoorsman has got one he regularly uses. I'm always envious of that.
No, that's a brilliant pack, and that was the first sort of start off small and see how I can fill this pack out.
Yeah.
And then I was taking it to like shows and sort of just demonstrating people how it all fits together. And
because I guess that's the ideal kind of base unit for a modular system, like a rectangular pack like that. Everything slots in. Like, for example, for our listeners' sake, if you'll have to forgive me because I've forgotten the name since when I've got this from yourself.
That's a small zip pouch.
The small zip pouch. So these have a really amazing kind of rectangular shape that tapers up in thickness, and it has a flat bottom. So with that taper, meaning it has a kind of triangular end cross section, if you looked at it, if you stack another one upside down on top of it or next to it, it creates a rectangle. And I just think stuff like that is such an ingenious.
You can carry to double the organisation in the same space as one square pouch.
Yeah.
That was the idea of it, you know what I mean? Keeping it in that state with shape going together.
And also, because it's got that nice wide bottom, it will sit nicely on things.
It
and
stands up,
won't roll over and tip your stuff all over the woods.
I have this, you know, I don't like things that you have to squeeze into, you know, like, I'd rather things be slightly bigger.
Yeah.
I don't like stuffing things into small, you know, and trying to get it all in there, you know what I mean?
Like
I'd rather be able to, like, open it up, just grab what you want, you know what I mean? Don't overfill them. There's no need to just, you know, there's loads of space. It's amazing how, like, the box patches, you know, if I show you tomorrow, the amount of stuff you can get inside the large box patch is, you know, is quite amazing, really. But it's doing that thing of compressing, like, especially clothing and stuff like that, compresses it down. But I don't like things to be tight. You know, if you get a billy can, I want it to just fit in there. I don't want to fight to get this billy can in the pouch. You know what I mean? And it's like the frying pan pouch is very simple. Just slot it in, roll top, Velcro, snap, done.
Yeah. And the Velcro is solid on that.
It's tough, yeah.
Yeah. I've got one, and I put my plate in it, and I was like just so impressed by how positive like everything was. Like you rip it open, and the Velcro is tough. And like the material like would survive an apocalypse. It's like it's proper good stuff. Like honestly, mate, it's really high quality.
What I really
I appreciate that.
Like about it is that it kind of holds its form as well.
Yeah.
There's other cheaper alternatives that I've had in the past of like little pouches and stuff, and they just flop over. They don't stand. Like this actually retains its shape even with nothing in it, for example.
It's you know, I've tried to create enough pouches to like, so you know there's something for someone there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd go right down to like the little pocket pouch and just put in like, you know, your lighter in or whatever you want in. So like small little pouches that are about that long, about that wide, with like maybe a small. You saw them in my other kit. They all stand up quite nicely.
My partner has seen them on your Etsy and said she wants to get some for clay tools. You know, just to put in like a really nice paintbrushes that only go for certain glazes or something.
It's funny because my wife, I made her a couple of the pouches to put in her handbag, and she uses them all the time. No joke, she uses them all the time. It just organises her like bag, you know what I mean, with all her bits and pieces in it, you know what I mean. She'll have even like we've all got like phones and chargers now, and you know it goes in one, it's got the makeup in another, and bits and pieces like that. So it's not just for outdoor use; there are all sorts of uses for it.
I mean, I'm going to use one of the pouches I got from you for my electronics when I'm out. Because I'm always losing my batteries, my charging blocks, and making films, we need this technology now, and it's stupid to pretend that we don't, because actually we're recording a podcast on technology, and we've recorded a video on a camera that needs batteries. So me and Liam are always carrying in quite a lot of batteries and chargers and things like
SD cards, you know, don't really
actually you need to keep them in one place, and so that's definitely going to be super useful for that.
It's a bit like batteries, like on my camera now. They're not that big with batteries, but I get 4 or 5 in there. A couple of SD cards in a pocket patch, you know what I mean? And at least I know they're there, you know what I mean? And then obviously you've got all the other bits and pieces that go with it, you know, like your lights and you know, and all the other battery chargers and stuff like that. And it does take up quite a bit of space in your pack now. And
they can easily, like, I sometimes just chuck. So I got a Frost River pack, just a bucket pack. You chuck everything in the main compartment, and if I was to just put the charger just at the top, by the time I got to hiking in 3 miles, the charger's probably fallen down into something else, and I completely can't find it. Then my phone's died. I can't charge my battery, and I'm getting stressed because I need to film what I'm doing, and you know. So keeping everything in a place where you know, okay, this is my battery pouch. I can get my electronics out of here. This is my fire kit. Great, let's go and get a fire going. It just makes things easier, and it takes that guesswork out of the equation.
I have a look at my rucksack, and basically there's the core, I should say, the core of the rucksack, where you may swap out your tent, bivvy bag, tarp, even your knife and saw maybe, but the core of it, you know, would stay the same. That's part of the modular system. Is the core, and you don't have. So once you know where that is in your pack, and once you've got that layering system to the way you want it, you just know that's where it is. The other bits and pieces, the rest of it, you can do what you want with, you know, because say you might change out from one kit to another when it's your sleep system, depending on weather, it's fine, but the core of it should stay the same. Well, I do. You know, I mean, you know, a billy can's a billy can in it, really, at the end of the day. But you know, you can take what you want, but I always keep that as the core.
Well, I think what it strives for, which is what I'm a big fan of, and it's a good thing to advocate in bushcraft in general, is the like Tom said, that organisation of and pre-planning of your kit. So saying, okay, this is where my sleeping bag lives, and my sleeping bag's probably one of the last things that I'll get out of my sleep kit. One of the first things will be my tent or my shelter or my cordage, or you know, I need to have my fire kit accessible. I need to have a drink accessible, or snacks even to hand in an accessible place. First aid kit, and you can all have those in designated places, so that when you open your pack, that pack's straight out on the floor. Once you're done with that, straight onto the next one. And it's always something that I'm battling between, because, for example, like you said earlier, I'll have, a bivvy bag stuffed in one corner, or I'll have my billy can in one corner, and then I'm looking at this triangular void in the middle, and I'm like, what can I fit in there? Nothing apart from socks.
Loads of socks. But it's funny because we've all sort of touched on where our sleeping bag and things sit in our rucksack, and actually all three of us are the same. Like the first thing that I put in my rucksack is the sleeping bag, because it's probably the last thing I need to get out. So I need it when I go to bed, and I'll loft it up maybe an hour or two before bed, and that's about it. Whereas I'm going to need to have snacks. If I'm walking, I'm going to need to have them accessible. I could have an accident, so I need a med kit accessible. Fire kit, I probably want to light a fire so I can boil water and purify that. So it's just thinking about where things sit in your rucksack. So typically I'll put my sleeping bag in with my spare clothes down the bottom of the rucksack, and then I'll build up from there. And having got some of the pouches from you now, I can be even more organised in how I build those layers above the sleep system.
Yeah, because you love your pouches, don't you?
I love my pouches,
and
I have
yesterday.
a number of really good pouches, and just actually these are just amazing, and they're just going to go into my system now.
Oh, brilliant. It's good to hear that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you love building little kits, don't you?
Yeah, I love building kits. I've got some, I've got a belt kit I wear all the time by Tasmanian Tiger. It's really, it works really well for me. But then, like, this pocket pouch, it's like the thing that I never knew I needed, because let me just describe it for you guys, because obviously this is audio only. It's like a really small pouch, zippered pouch, and it's basically just the right size for those little things you end up having loose in your pocket that then get lost in all the tissues. And if you're anything like me, you'll have a snack in the outdoors, and then you'll stuff the wrapper in your Fjallravens to throw away later.
Never happens.
By the end of the trip, I'm normally fishing around in my pocket around all the tissues, the buff that I have had to take off because I got too sweaty, and my empty wrappers to try and find my hand sanitizer and my lighter. And now I don't have to, because I've got this beautiful little pocket pouch that fits perfectly in my Fjallravens, and will keep the little essentials that I will need to have in my pocket just in one place.
Well, seeing your excitement, like, it was one of those things that we kind of, both bounced, just knew we had to have when we saw.
Yeah.
And they're just so handy. I've been keeping my EDC in it. And it's just, real handy little things. About the size of a wagon wheel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just,
so, like, you forget, like you completely forget it's in your pocket, and then you're like, I need to get my lighter out. It's in my pocket pouch. I need to get my chapstick for my lips because I'm a wuss. It's in my pocket pouch.
But it's a place for it.
When you say about, it's funny, isn't it, really, with outdoor gear, and you get excited about stuff, It's not. You shouldn't really, but you do, don't you? You know what I mean? Even like there's people who've done, like, there was a guy who messaged me the other week about his order, and it got held up, and he said, I can't. I think it was stuck at customs or something, and he's like, I just want to get it. I'm really excited about getting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll get excited.
I get so excited. Whatever it is I've ordered, like it could be like the most mundane thing ever, and I'll just be like, ooh, package.
No, literally. Yeah, I'm even excited about going home and playing with these, just to put different bits in. It's just, great little designs, and seriously well done, mate, because considering it was, one of those decisions in between a job, and you were thinking, what should I do? The quality is absolutely astounding. Really,
the
really
finishing is fantastic.
It's
I try
quality.
to get, because you just want to create that professional. This is not it is handmade, but I want it to be the fit and finish to be like as best as possible.
It's flawless.
And and that's what I try to achieve. Something that, say, it started off as I didn't have a job, I was looking for a job. It just then took over, you know what I mean, and it became a job.
It's often the best way things happen.
Because it started from a
organically.
passion.
It was. I think I needed, you know what I mean, in my life, and it just came about from that, really. And that's normally like the best way. You feel like there's a need for it, and there was no one else I know who was making anything like that.
No.
Because if there was, I would have been using it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I bought all like the exped, dry bags and stuff like that. And to be honest, nothing wrong with them, but most of them all ripped up. They get holes in them really easy, and they never really fitted properly in the pack. So, yes, you pay an extra on the weight of it. They're a bit heavier, but they've got that durability. It's going to last for ages. The material is waterproof. Obviously, the zips are not, but I've had mine out in the rain all night, and literally it was like opened it up and it was dry inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they've got that water resistance to them. There's more pouches I want to make, but I'm only one person and trying to.
Absolutely.
But there's more stuff, and people do ask me, can you make custom this and that? And it's the time of just even making something custom is, is a lot of time, and I just ain't got time for that. I've just got to constantly keep making these bags for orders for customers, and but no, it's good, and I'm chuffed with them.
Well, what you were saying to me earlier before we started recording was that you would make like prototypes and you would test them and really put them through their paces. So if you were to make a custom order, you'd be like, oh yeah, but I could have done this differently, and by the time that one custom order's finished, you will have made like 4 prototypes. It's just not worth it. Not worth it.
No, because it never comes out right the first time. Always have to. I said to you, you have to. Sometimes if you make something like the one that rocket roll bag that I want to do. There's got to be enough. Most we make another 3 more then before I get it just right.
Yeah.
No,
so
absolutely.
You can't just I ain't got that. When you've got to make customers' orders, you can't just it takes time. So you have to do it in other times, weekends and bits and pieces like that.
And can you give our listeners a little bit of an insight as to like your workshop environment? What your kind of what your routine is and how you go about things. It's obviously really interesting.
Yeah, it's I worked out from a garage which is not big enough, and I'm trying to find like a premises somewhere where I can have a bigger table. I've got a big work table, and I've got 4 sewing machines in there. And so it's only big enough for me in there. What I mean? And so that's why I can't have anyone else in there. But just basically I get in there, I do the orders, get the orders out. So I sort of do a bulk, do like 3 days orders. Get them made, sent them out. But it's not the process of cutting the materials, cutting in all the webbing and the bits and pieces of the zips, making it, assembling it. Then when you obviously assemble it, you've got to cut off all the little bits of threads and bits and pieces. Then you've got to then get the orders, then you've got to then package it, and that in its own right takes like loads of time.
Yeah.
But then obviously taking it to the post office. So there's a lot involved.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously replying back to messages and emails, and that is really, I find that one of the hardest things, because with so many different platforms, you've got Etsy, you've got Instagram, you've got YouTube, you've got emails,
a lot of avenues,
and you've got these people, and then you've got to go, someone sent me a message, where is it? And then you've got to go hunting and bits and pieces. So that's sketchy. It's easy if it was just one thing, just emails or something like that, but it's not. You've got so many different
it's not aggregated in one place.
No.
We feel you with that.
If only.
But it's great working for myself, and it's something I enjoy doing. The sewing is sewing. You can't, but the developing and the making and the using is brilliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the R&D aspect's got to be good fun. An excuse to come up to Friars and test a few pouches.
Well, that's it. They're all tested. They're tried and tested, because you actually have used these for years, and like you're obviously a skilled woodsman. You know your stuff. And like these pouches, they work.
They do, yeah.
And they've been put through the tests, and we were saying earlier that we both have a similar mindset, don't we, to testing gear?
Yeah.
That when we first get something, we're like, we give it a day where we let it look pretty, and then we'll just beat on it just to see what it can take.
Yeah, we'll let you stay clean for a day at night, but then it's going to get out and get dirty. It was funny because I was out the other week, and I had this new, it was a Cedar Summit, and I don't know if you've seen them. It's like they've got a kettle that pulls out and unfolds. Yeah, the Cedar Summit plates. Yeah, where it's like a kettle and it's like collapsible. Well, there was a frying pan in there, and I was using it just on gas, and like, I was putting my eggs in it and the bacon. The eggs was sticking like anything. It's like, and to me that's like, I can't have that.
Yeah, that's
so then I thought, right, I better season this thing, and it weren't really. I don't can season anything really. I've seasoned titanium.
Yeah.
So I've put it on the stove, right, and this thing's like heating up. Like if I'm putting oil on, and it's heating up, but it's blackening up for half an hour. This thing's on pure heat, just like burning its way. The bottom, it's bending around like underneath it. And this thing would look like brand new half an hour ago. It's like this is like years old, but I put an egg in it and it was perfect. Just slid across it.
Boy.
That's the way.
But so something that didn't work in my mind, you had to make it work. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's new or not.
Exactly.
It's got to be made to be work, or if it doesn't, then I might as well not have it.
Yeah. Exactly
So
it.
And that's the way I think with any sort of bit of kit, you get kit. It's like we're talking about axes. When you buy an axe, you know, I have this little process of like, you know, taking all the varnish off, you know, re-sanding it down, oiling it, like doing the, you know, it's sharp normally, but you know, just giving it all the level work, and just like putting your finishing touches to it. And you know, that's what
makes it yours. It makes it yours.
Yeah.
No, tool maintenance as well is another thing that's like really, really important, isn't it? It's kind of, you know, something I'm actually looking forward to being able to do with some of these pouches is bring out a bit more of a kind of tool care kit, because more often than not, sometimes, you know, you're out with an axe and you do get a little nick in it. It's good to have a file and stuff, and there are always smaller things that I worry about in my kit, losing or
scratching up other things.
Exactly.
You got, you know, I always have in my like sort of maintenance. I normally have it in the Possibles kit or something like that. You know, I always have some oil in there, you know, a strop, you know, a sharpener, just these things to maintain it when you're out, because I'm more than likely going to maintain it if I'm sitting around the fire. Get my axe out, get the knife out, and just give it a strop, give it some ironing, because it's a nice thing to do around the campfire, and I enjoy doing it.
I actually, as a carver, I'm constantly touching up my stuff. So I made my own strop, and I actually did it so the leather curves around the paddle, and I've actually carved the thing so it's got a curve to it, and then I can actually sharpen the inside bevel of a hook knife with my same strop that I'd use for my straight knives, and that works really well. And then I actually wrap in my kit, I wrap that in wet and dry, and I've just got a little strip of leather holding the wet and dry to that, so if I find my strop, I find my wet and dry, and then there's a sharpening stone in the same pouch, and that way if I'm carving, I know that if it's starting to feel dull, sometimes it can just not cut as nice a cut, and you won't see that nice shiny finish. And if I'm leaving a spoon knife finish, it needs to leave that shiny.
A lot of your work's knife finish as well, isn't it?
It is, and so for me, it has to be razor sharp. So I will feel it, and I'll be like, that needs a little touch up. So I'll go in my kit, get my little fine stone, touch it up, maybe touch it on a 2000 grit wet and dry if it's an axe, because I like to keep them convex.
You've always been a beast at sharpening as well.
And just getting that edge, and it's another thing that's it's worth having an organised like system in your bag.
I'll show you tomorrow, because what you're talking about sharpening your crook knife, what I did, you say you give you an example like a belt, an old belt, right? So basically I just cut it, you know, about sort of 6-7 inches, whatever length you want it. Then basically on the inside where it's the side you want to use as stropping, I folded it round, and then I sewed the two ends, right? And if I show you tomorrow, you're like, oh, that's easy. It's an easy way to make a strop for your crook knife.
And I like that. That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, I'll show you tomorrow. It's only because you said about
we'll get that on camera.
And I'll I think I've got my strop with me. It'd be embarrassing if I don't now. And I can show you mine.
But no, say we sharpen it, you know, that's actually another skill that takes a long time to get right. I have this thing where my when I sharpen it's got a certain angle, and that's the angle that I've practiced with for years. So when I get a knife or something, it may not have that angle straight away, but it will do. And then every time I can just do quite easy, you know, sharpen all my tools, and the same with the axe as well. You know, it's just sort of similar.
We were saying, weren't we, like the little field and steel splinters, they can be a little tricky to sharpen because it's such a micro bevel almost.
It's such a tiny blade, and it's so thin. And it's got a secondary micro bevel on it, and it is literally micro.
You're literally just like.
And so I'm actually slowly convexing mine.
Nice.
because it will be in the long term it'll be easier to maintain.
Yeah.
And also to use it's a brilliant little. It's like a little scalpel that you can carry with you in the woods, and
Great
I use it all the time just for cutting cordage or opening packets or a bit of whittling sometimes as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And striking a fire still. So it's a really good knife, and over time I reckon that micro bevel will just be convexed away.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy with
especially by stropping as well.
Yeah.
Well, on my scan knives with the scan, I always put a secondary. I don't keep it as a scan. I just put a little tiny.
Right.
And that's my angle.
Yeah.
A couple of benefits is that I think, in my mind, I don't really want to having that secondary bevel like that. It just makes it easier to sharpen, makes it slightly stronger. I know some people don't like it, but that's the way I've always done it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's only a small. So that's the angle. When I say that, that's my angle. That's the way.
That's how you do it.
That's how Robin does his. You remember my blade had it like Scandi grind, but then
tiny micro bevel.
Tiny micro bevel.
I tend to convex things slightly. Not really a lot. Like you wouldn't notice it. You'd have to look at it under a microscope.
Tends to happen.
But I actually kind of like that, because while some people might hate that, for me it just does strengthen that edge, and I get on really well with it. I find I can feather stick fine with it, and
they call it the Scandi Vex, don't they?
So slight Scandi Vex.
Scandi Vex. It's they say like on a strop, if you strop a Scandi with compound, you're more likely to get a Scandi Vex, because it wears the geometry of the point a bit quicker than it does on the shoulders. So then you get that slight haunching out.
Yeah.
Which they say gives it more like the axe geometry.
Yeah.
So it's good for edge retention, but then you lose some of that finer motors.
But then I find that
over time, maybe you might, I don't know. In the difference, if you carved 100 spoons, you might say actually the one with a micro bevel might.
Some spoon carvers like hollow grind.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Wow.
I just think just really fine edge. I was like, too much.
I've had new knives where they've come in so sharp and the Scandi, so actually the end will bend.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you have to just sharpen that out, take it out to bring it down to a proper. They're so sharp, they do
fold.
that.
Yeah.
I had a knife that did that, and it really annoyed me actually.
Yeah.
It was like it's just what it was, and it stopped it after a few sharpens.
No, you just go sharpen it up and drop it. You're just getting rid of that. They just do it so
such a fine point. Yeah. But that's testament to the knife maker in some respect to their shop.
Yeah, but when you got a new knife and you go to use it, it's got a bend on the end of it. It's like,
no.
No, I can be quite precious over my knives, but my Castrum is known for its well-worn patina.
Yeah,
as it should be though.
Yeah.
Some people used to think I never use my knives because I clean them so hard. After, I'd keep them really, really nice. But I've sort of given up on doing that now. I kind of like the used look. But I remember I had an Adventure Swan. Adventure Swan, one of my favourite knife companies. I love them. Right, yeah. I've got two classics, a Mountaineer, and their sort of trapper blade in convex, and that's actually my kitchen knife now. But with that one, I didn't realise, because it was not designed to be the convex version was a very fine one, and it's sort of designed to be like a woodsman's kitchen knife, and so they temper it harder, and it goes to an incredibly fine point. And so I'm like doing what I normally do with my ridiculous 5mm Scandis, and I'm tip splitting with it and twisting, and I got it in this solid bit of oak, and I actually snapped the tip off, and I was like, oh. And I was like, I got sad for a minute, and then I was like, nah, it's fine. And I actually just took it to a grinder, and I had to grind like a substantial bit off, but actually I reprofiled it, and I was able to, because it's convex, it's easy to get that nice sharp bevel.
Yeah, nice.
And it's as good as new now, and I've had it 6 years and it's still going. I use it sometimes in the woods, but it's my daily kitchen knife now.
I love that.
So yeah.
I think I said to you earlier, I've broke a tip or two off knives, and it's only a small bit of the engine. They're quite easy to repair and put straight.
It's always like heartbreaking though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you get a new axe and you get your first little dink in the edge, and oh no.
Or when you split a bit of wood that looks clean, but some
What, left a nail
idiots
in it?
left a nail in it, and you just put your axe straight into a nail, and you're like, no.
Well,
That's always sad.
It'd be like that when I get the first bit of dirt on these pouches that I've picked up off you today, Dave.
No,
So it's
cool,
you know, I'm really looking forward to using them, and you guys should definitely go and check out his store on Etsy. Can you tell people how to find you?
Basically, just Google David Friars,
Yep.
and I'll come up.
You go to quite a few events around the UK as well, don't you? Do some shows.
I do all the shows, yeah. I don't have a stall there, but I'm there anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
But, that and Instagram, and obviously there's a link on Instagram to the shop as well.
Yeah, and you also have a YouTube channel, respectively, don't you?
Yeah.
You show some really nice content. I've really been enjoying your videos, actually.
Yeah, and your reels on Instagram as well. It's really nice to see what you're getting up to up here in Friars Wood, and as well as following the amazing creations that you're coming up with for your different packs that you're testing out.
Yeah, and even, just quickly before we say goodnight, it's just one thing I wanted to say to you. There's your mesh pouches, for example.
Yeah.
Just they act as not only what they're designed for, like let's say a bottle, but Tom pointed out very validly earlier, it could be used for like leaching things.
Yeah, leach tannins out of acorns.
Yeah,
for example.
processing foods, or even a very primitive kind of sieve, even if I guess.
Well, if you look, MCQ Bushcraft did a whole video on fruit leathers.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And he put hawthorn berries into a mesh, and he squeezed it through, and actually the mesh on your bags would be perfect for that, because it's such a strong mesh. Whereas I reckon if you did that with a cheap mesh, you'd rip it to shreds.
Yeah, you
but
won't rip
doing
that
it
stuff.
with that, you'd be there all day. And
people are surprised how tough that mesh is when they see it. They said the pictures don't do it justice of how tough it is.
Yeah.
But because they've all got like bits of webbing, so you can hook them on with a carabiner onto a belt or whatnot, and just even use them as foraging, putting bits and pieces in them as you're walking around.
That's true. I guess even if you were canoeing, you could carabiner a little cork float onto there, and then
they do
if it dropped into the water.
There's two purposes there, not just for hooking on, but obviously when you open and closing them as well. They're there for a couple of reasons. They're not there for show. They're there for a reason.
You could easily rig them up to molle as well,
Yeah.
with those little side tag pouches.
Yeah,
Put a little bit of paracord through them, or a cable tie.
or a little D-ring or something.
Yeah, you're sorted.
Yeah.
So versatile.
I think our listeners are going to have to go check him.
I think so, yeah. Hearing this wax lyrical about it doesn't do him justice. So do go and check out Dave Friars. Amazing kit, and just really good sort of little insight into compartmentalisation, kit organisation from someone who really knows what they're talking about on that. So
knows the talk.
if your bush solution was to get more organised, maybe think about going down the route of sorting your kit into little compartmentalised sections, organising your kit into a fire kit, hygiene kit, clothing, separating it all out into its different component parts, and building up a nice sort of compartmentalised loadout based on that.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll find that really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great little bit of stuff for personal admin, which is just going to come in really, really handy for everyone out in the woods. To be honest, you can never do with too much organisation when you're out in the woods. It's too easy to put things down in the dark.
I look at something and say like a little small haversack bag or something like that. And what am I thinking? I'm thinking, right, what pouches will fit in that and make that usable? You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking all the time.
You're probably having a nightmare at my haversack that's sat there with the multiple pouches. To be fair, actually everything in there is actually in separate pouches, but that's mainly for my pipe and tools in there, to be honest.
Before we go, actually, you two have enjoyed a little pipe, haven't you?
Yeah, it's nice to
nice to see, actually.
Yeah, I mean we're like a family friendly podcast, so we're not promoting smoking or anything, but like I am a pipe smoker. I enjoy that as a way of relaxing, and it's nice to actually share a pipe with another pipe smoker. So
because I say it was a few guys who got me into it, and I don't really see them a great deal, but so seeing you smoking a pipe together today, that's really like, that doesn't happen to me either.
Well,
so
it's a nice moment for me to watch you having your first shared pipe smoke with someone.
We were chatting about the tasting notes of the tobacco.
I was just there filming it.
We both shared, we both brought a different tobacco with us, and we've both shared it. And
but it was even talking about, because it's not even just the smoking of it. It was like the learning process how to smoke a pipe, and I was the same. It was like it's not.
How do I do this?
Yeah. And it was like you have to learn how to do it.
Even you talking about your styles of pipes, types of pipes. I loved hearing it.
It's a whole nother world.
Yeah.
And actually, while we're on pipes, let me just plug my favourite podcast. If any of you are pipe smokers and do like podcasting, which I'm hoping if you're listening to this you do like podcasts, otherwise what are you doing? Listen to Country Squire Radio, because that is where I learnt how to smoke a pipe. It's listening to those two guys from the south just go on about their hobby and passion for pipes. It really does transport you to a different place in the world, and I love it. So a little shout out to them as well, as they've cheered me up many a time.
100%. And an even bigger shout out to David Friars for having us here at Friars.
Mate,
thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed you coming down. We've had a good talk, and it's like, we sort of, it's the first time we really met, but we just got on. It's been relaxing, it's been chilled, and we just had a nice time.
It's brilliant.
Can't ask for more than that.
No, definitely not. So stay safe, guys, and keep your ears out for the next episodes of Wodesman, and just stay in touch. If you want to send Dave any messages, do so at David Friars on Instagram, and if you want to send us anything, do so as well.
Yeah, we're always here. Stay safe, guys. Cheers.
Ciao.